Okay, let's dive right into this explainer. We're going to explore a fascinating ancient text that fundamentally challenges what it actually takes to be the absolute best at something. Today, we're looking at a legendary excerpt from the Sambhava Parva of the Mahabharata. Now, on the surface, sure, it's a story about ancient warriors, but at its core, it's this intense, incredibly raw study on the psychology of elite performance, favoritism, and honestly, the devastating lengths people will go to just to secure their spot at the top. To really understand the extreme limits of focus and ambition, we don't need a table of contents or some long preamble. We just need to ask ourselves a very, very uncomfortable question. What would you actually sacrifice for total mastery? I mean, would you sacrifice your comfort, your morals? What about a literal piece of your own body? Because this text, it is packed with these intense, almost unbelievable moments that illustrate superhuman dedication and, frankly, some absolutely terrifying ethical compromises. We're going to encounter warriors practicing in pitch-black darkness, a dog silenced in the blink of an eye, and a severed thumb just offered up with a smile. It all kicks off with the arrival of a master teacher named Drona, who takes the royal Kuru princes under his wing. All right, Section 1, the master's secret motive. Because Drona wasn't just taking on students out of the goodness of his heart. No, he had a hidden agenda from day one. Drona pulls the princes apart, makes them touch his feet, and tells them he has a very particular purpose in his heart. He demands a solemn promise that they're going to accomplish it for him once they're fully skilled in arms. Now, while the other princes just stand there silent, completely unsure of what they're actually agreeing to, Arjuna boldly steps up and vows to accomplish this unknown goal. And that instantly secures this special, deeply affectionate bond with his new teacher. Arjuna is completely all in. But here's where it gets interesting. Drona's blatant favoritism toward his own son, Aswathman, becomes obvious almost immediately. Drona gives everyone a water vessel to fill, but he literally rigs the system. He gives the other pupils these narrow-mouth vessels that take forever to fill, while he gives his own son a broad-mouth vessel. The whole goal here is just so his son can get back faster and gain extra time for secret, superior instruction. But Arjuna, he is way too sharp for this. He figures out the trick right away. Using his intelligence and this celestial tool called the Varuna weapon, Arjuna manages to fill his narrow vessel instantly. So he arrives back at the exact same time as the preceptor's son. Arjuna's resourcefulness totally bypasses Drona's trick, guaranteeing he gets the exact same superior instruction as the teacher's pet. Moving right along into Section 2, creating the perfect archer. With the training underway, we start to see exactly how Arjuna begins to separate himself from the rest of the pack through sheer, unyielding dedication. So there's this crucial moment. A sudden wind blows out a lamp while Arjuna is eating dinner. But he notices his hand still finds his mouth perfectly. It hits him like a ton of bricks. Realizing that habit operates even without sight, Arjuna immediately starts intensely practicing his archery in the dead of night. Drona actually hears the twang of Arjuna's bowstring in the dark and is so impressed he promises him that there will not be an archer equal to him in the entire world. If we break down Drona's fully trained pupils, you can see that while everyone mastered a specific skill, Bhima with the mace, Nakula with the sword, Arjuna just completely outdistanced everyone in every single category. He was accomplished in all weapons, intelligence, and strength. The instruction was exactly the same for everyone, but his lightness of hand made him absolutely supreme. Because of this absolute devotion and skill, Arjuna alone achieves the legendary status of Athiratha. This essentially means he is a car warrior capable of fighting 60,000 foes at once. To put that into perspective, he is, in modern terms, completely overpowered, and naturally, being that good sparks some deep, bitter jealousy among his rivals, especially the sons of Dhritarashtra. But just as Drona guarantees Arjuna's supremacy, we hit Section 3, the self-taught rival. An unexpected challenger emerges from the deep forest, and it completely upends everything. Enter Ekalavya. He approaches Drona for training, but gets rejected outright because he's of the Nishada caste. But Ekalavya? He doesn't just give up. He retreats into the forest, builds a literal clay image of the guy who rejected him, and respectfully worships it as his true preceptor. Through exceptional reverence and rigid, daily practice in front of this clay idol, Ekalavya achieves absolute mastery. His unorthodox path proves that immense, unwavering dedication can rival even the most elite, privileged education in the world. 7. Just think about that number for a second. That is the exact number of arrows Ekalavya shoots into a barking dog's mouth before the dog can even snap its jaws shut. And get this, he targets the dog using purely auricular precision, meaning he aimed entirely by sound alone, no line of sight. This brilliantly illustrates the vast, terrifying gap in skill that has just appeared. The Kuru princes are out hunting. They discover this dog, and they are left completely astounded, and frankly deeply ashamed of their own abilities. They track down this grim-visaged, dirt-covered stranger in the woods, only to discover, to their absolute horror, that he considers himself a pupil of Drona. Arjuna's confidence is completely shattered, which sets the stage for Section 4, a devastating sacrifice. We're about to see the true, grim cost of dominance. Driven by just intense, boiling jealousy, Arjuna pulls Drona aside in private. He basically says, hey, you promised no one would be equal to me, so why is this mighty Nishada king's son vastly superior? Now, Drona, who the text fascinatingly describes as cognizant of all rules of morality, actually stops to reflect for a moment. He then takes Arjuna right along with him to confront this self-taught prodigy out in the forest. When Ekalavya sees Drona, he prostrates himself, worshipping him, and offers to give his master literally any tuition fee requested. And then, Drona delivers these incredibly cruel words. To protect Arjuna's status as the undisputed greatest archer, Drona looks at him and demands Ekalavya's right thumb. It is a profoundly stark, chilling moment. Ekalavya, ever devoted to truth, makes this devastating sacrifice with a cheerful face and an unafflicted heart. He literally cuts off his own thumb without a second of hesitation. As a result, of course, he permanently loses his former lightness of hand. And Arjuna's reaction? The text explicitly notes that Arjuna becomes happy. His fever of jealousy just immediately vanishes the second his rival is crippled. This incredibly dark chapter brings us to our final part. Section 5, the test of true focus. This is Drona's ultimate assessment to determine who truly possesses the psychological mindset of a master. So Drona sets up this artificial bird on the top of a neighboring tree. He orders his pupils to draw their bows, aim at the bird, and get ready to cut off its head the moment he gives the command. But right before giving the order to shoot, Drona does something highly unusual. He individually asks each student a very simple yet incredibly revealing question. He poses this directly to Yudhishthira first. He demands to know precisely what is currently capturing his visual attention as he aims his arrow. What exactly is in his line of sight right now? Well, Yudhishthira replies honestly. He says he sees the tree, himself, his brothers, and the bird. And because Yudhishthira, and actually every other student who answers identically after him, can still see the distractions of their environment in their peers, Drona snaps. He angrily orders them to stand apart, declaring them totally unfit to strike the aim. It's such a powerful metaphor to leave you with today. The rest of the princes failed because their vision was crowded. True, unbroken focus requires completely tuning out the noise, the politics, and the competition. So, if you want to achieve true mastery in whatever you do, you have to ask yourself, what distractions do you need to stop looking at so you can finally see the bird?